Welcome back. I've got Kim Ali on line. Kim, how are you?
Great, Michael. Thanks for having me.
Really looking forward to this conversation. You're doing some amazing things, and in the pre-show we kind of talked about something that's, current, of course, and on the minds of a ton of people. So why don't you share a little bit about you, and then we'll jump into the conversation.
Well, a little bit about me, Michael. I come from a nursing background. I have been a nurse for 20 years. In case you're wondering, they give licenses to 2-year-olds. I'm just kidding, but I've been a nurse for a long time and had some amazing experiences from doing travel nursing throughout the United States. I've acted in leadership positions, healthcare IT, education, and back in 2014, had an amazing opportunity to travel to a country called Qatar. They are actually in the news right now, today as we speak, and wanted to go there for the cultural experience and to really leverage my nursing skills. And so the country wanted to open the first women and children's hospital. And their vision was to preserve the Arabic culture, Islamic religion, while incorporating a Western healthcare model. And so that was an amazing experience. And after I came back to the United States, I said, you know what? I like this consulting. I think I'm going to start a business. And so here we are. So we are a management consulting firm. And prior to January, I'll get into that shortly, but prior to January, we were heavy in the federal government. We did a lot of leadership development, wellness, team building, executive coaching. Now, because of everything that has happened, we have pivoted to AI. So we do AI audits for organizations, we do consulting, and we do AI branding as well. And so that's who we are.
That's awesome, and that's a great way to segue to a need. It's because as we said in the pre-show a little bit, a lot of organizations, they want to leverage AI, but they have no idea where to even start. I don't know what to do. What tool do I use? What tools do I use? Is this one better than this one? And they don't know what they don't know, and they a lot of times they try to apply the same recipe to things and expecting some dramatically different approach. Where I think from your vantage point, obviously advising on, the AI tools that are here today, which of course tomorrow there'll be brand new ones out there as well. So you're always on the go looking at all the new innovations and things that are coming out. But I think your consulting side of things is going to make a humongous difference because you're naturally looking at businesses to see, okay, what are you doing? What's working? What, in your opinion, isn't working? Where do you want to go? And, what are your resources? What do you have? All of those things. Those are going to be extremely important tools from my vantage point in helping organizations with their AI endeavors because you're going to leverage that expertise as well into it, which is going to be different than, and I'm not making fun of anybody, but someone that just is like, I'm going to be an AI consultant, and they've never been a consultant before, so they don't know all the intricacies of what a successful consultancy looks like. So they're just kind of launching, like, a lot of startups do. But in your case, leveraging that experience, I think is going to pay big dividends.
Absolutely. And so, Michael, I mean, you hit so many important points there. So, just to back up, so I mentioned in January we had to pivot, but we migrated to AI out of necessity. And so we had been using AI in our company for years, I think since 2022. So it wasn't new to us. But what ended up happening was when we lost contracts, we lost 80% of our revenue due to all of the executive orders that were happening. And we had to let brilliant people go, not because we didn't want them on our team, but we simply didn't have the work for them to do. So I had to pause and take a step back and say, okay, I still have tiny contracts here and there, so I can't shut down. And so, what was everyone doing? what is their workflow? Then, after looking at their workflow, then we decided, okay, what can we automate and what still requires a human in the loop? And so we were paying, I believe, over $250,000 in salaries. We were able to take that money, not only invested in implementing AI into our business, but we were also able to invest in other ventures. And so, to your point, there are tons of tools out there. In fact, AI is changing every 12 hours. It's growing so fast and it's impossible to keep up with it on a daily basis. And so leaders will become burned out, frustrated, and overwhelmed. And that leads to a failed implementation. And so, what we tell people is don't focus on the tools, don't focus on the latest Chat GPT upgrade. Look at your business, do an AI audit. You want to check to see how are you acquiring clients and what does that workflow look like. You want to look at your onboarding. You want to look at your service or product delivery. Each division has their own unique workflows, and so when we come in, we take a look at how much time are you spending on this area. What are the bottlenecks? What are the inefficiencies? And most importantly, how much revenue are you leaking because of this? And so when you approach it from a strategic way, like any other, consulting framework, that's when you're going to get the ROI. Because I mean, if you look at the studies, I think Forbes just published an article a couple of weeks ago. 95% of AI implementations are failing. Leaders are not getting their ROI. And that's because they are not approaching it strategically. They're taking tools and just throwing tools into the workflow.
Yeah, they're like, okay, we're just going to use this tool. We're just going to have it do everything, and they don't really understand, how their current systems even work. So how are you going to get it to perform better if you don't even understand truly how
Exactly.
it's performing right now?
Exactly. Or even if you understand it, is it efficient, right? Because if you automate chaos, you're just going to get more chaos on steroids.
Yeah, you're gonna have the AI chat bots that are gonna be, answering questions incorrectly or not at all. Or so yeah, I'd like information about this product that you offer. Oh, you'd like to learn the recipe of how to make a barbecue pizza. Well, here's the ingredient. No, that's not gonna work. I mean, unless you're hungry, then you're like, yeah, actually, that sounds good. Thanks for the help on that. But it's again, everyone, and I've seen this throughout my career, and you have too, even in healthcare, okay, here's this new medical device. It's going to make things easier. But then you go, okay, why is it trying to do that? Or the ever loved electronic health records, those are all, everybody loves those. I've never heard any clinician ever, and I used to work in healthcare and primary care. I've never met a clinician that loved their employee health record system. They right, just like this thing is that it just profanity laden commentary, and it's like yeah, I get it, I understand, I know. It's because it's like well, it does this and this. It's yeah, but it doesn't understand the
Mm,
flow of things and how things flow in your organization. Again, and again, these are opportunities where you can say, okay, you want to implement this AI. Okay, that's great. But and that stat you gave me is alarming, but not surprising. That there's going to be a lot of failures. So what'll happen is a lot of organizations initially go, "Well, that's just not going to work. We're just going to stick with what we're doing." After spending all the money on whatever they did in a botched effort, it's like, well, yeah, it's of course it's not going to work. You didn't take the time to look and see how things are supposed to be, and pie in the sky dream, or I don't know, here's something weird. Talk to the people in your organization that's
yeah.
doing the work. Maybe they could give you some insight as to what they do, because what the CEO sees and what the front line see often is two different companies.
Yep. Totally different. And I'm glad you said that because that's part of our audit process. Not only do we talk to the leaders, but we talk to the day-to-day people, the people who are in it because they really know how systems work. It's like the iceberg effect, right? The leader's at the top and he only sees surface level, but it's the people who are in the business who know where the bottlenecks are. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, because that's where you can find the opportunities to
Mhm.
break through. And sometimes it's just a communication thing. Sometimes it's Yeah, why are we doing that? We're touching this widget 6 times before it gets to this level. Could we find ways to maybe reduce the number of times it is being addressed or looked at? And you reduce it by two. What kind of percentage is that of improvement? It's huge. So all of a sudden you get those quick wins. Then the executive team goes, okay, well, what other areas could we look at? Which is then all of a sudden you start really changing things around, which is really important for organizations because we know, it doesn't matter in good economic times or at the time of this recording. I wouldn't go out and say it's great. Just saw a stat from, I think it was the American Staffing Association, a report that we had a net gain of new, employees. It was a negative 910,000 people in
Yeah,
the last month or last quarter. I don't remember the time frame. I think it was the last month.
yeah,
So there's basically a million less jobs being created.
yeah,
Um, that's going to impact all kinds of different things. And the people will argue, "Oh, that's AI taking all the jobs." AI is not taking any jobs yet. We're still figuring out,
yeah,
how to get this in. And wait a minute, I've hit my limit. I can't type in till 5:37 p.m. today. I guess I have to spend the $20 to get the full version. But all the little intricacies. But I think there. I mean, there's so many different impacts on that. But again, that's where leveraging AI as a tool, not
yeah,
as the be all end all, going to run your entire company kind of thing. Will we get there at some point? Potentially.
yeah,
Could. But ultimately, it's leveraging it to go, okay, like what you did with your company. I mean, that's a glowing example. All right,
yeah,
how do we leverage what we have?
yeah,
How do we grow our business into something utilizing these tools
yes,
to be able to do what we're doing? That it's basically asking the right questions. And I think that's where, and I love your thoughts on this. I think that's where a lot of people make missteps. They're asking old playbook questions instead of, okay, what's the reality of right now, September 2025, at the time of this recording? What are we looking at, and what's the what do we see over the next couple of quarters? Because looking beyond that, I think we've learned our lesson from the pandemic. Don't look for that 5-year plan.
great.
I 5 weeks from now could look different. So
Exactly. 5 years, I mean, 5 week strategic plan. Absolutely. No, and you bring up very valid points. And so just to kind of backtrack regarding the jobs, that is a fear. It is a genuine concern of people about AI taking their jobs. And all of the job losses doesn't really help. I mean, I think you have companies like Salesforce that actually are saying, at least that's what the media is saying, that they got rid of 4,000 people because of AI. I'm hearing it's not because of AI. Regardless, whatever the truth is, talking to your people, asking the right questions, as you perfectly stated, is the beginning to a successful AI implementation. Why? Because you want to know the barriers that you are up against. There could be maybe 60, 70% of your team members who are hesitant to use AI because of that fear that it will replace them. And what I just want to be clear, I had to let go my team because we didn't have the work. I gave them an option to do BD, business development. That was not in their skill set. And so they decided to leave. That's the only reason why my team left, because there wasn't work. However, in a company, if you still have work to do, AI is a companion. We call it employee augmentation. And so before you even have that conversation, you need to find out what are your concerns of your employees. Why are they afraid to use AI? Are they concerned about privacy and data? That's another big issue. Are they afraid to learn something new? Adoption, how are you going to train people? Who has access to it? Not everyone should have access to AI. You want to determine what goes into AI. Again, if you are in finance or healthcare, you can't put everything into AI. And so those are the conversations and concerns that need to be addressed before you even do the implementation. When we look at employee roles, so let's say it's implemented now, there is something called employee augmentation. So, for example, if let's say 20% of your role is data entry, AI can do that for you. There's no need for a human to do data entry. And so, if 20% of your time is now freed up, now you can focus on what's important, which is the mission. And so, how can AI help you be more creative, help you be more productive because you aren't spending time on task oriented, repetitive items?
And I think that's where the opportunity for business growth and looking at doing things that you've been wanting to do. And I ask business owners all the time. It's like, okay, what's on your radar or your wish list that you'd love to do, but you just can't do it because you don't have the time or the internal expertise or the budget, basically, to be realistic. You don't have the budget to do this because otherwise you would have done it already. What are some of those things? It's like, again, that's a perfect example to run it through an AI audit and go, okay, what could we do with this? How much of this could be automated? Okay, we automate 30%. Okay, wow, you're well on your way then. Okay, now what do you need to do? Okay, what kind of personnel do you need? What skills do they need? What's the market look like right now? Have you done any market research? Hey, AI does a good job of that, and you can find out a whole lot about things, including yourself, which is in a way kind of creepy. But it's like, okay, what do you know about me? It's like,
Yes,
wow. It's like, oh,
very.
you know a lot about me. Okay, it's like, yeah, you're listening very well. I appreciate that. It's like not that I'm like hiding. Come on, I record a podcast. I have a blog. I do work. I speak. It's like I'm not trying to be like this, quiet, hermit like character. Although there are days where sometimes I wish I was, but not all the time. Uh, but but again, use it as a sidekick or a device. We're not. I mean, yeah, it's been decades, but still, there was a time when we did not have computers at work. We used paper and pen and typewriters and maybe some other devices to do some things. So we're not that far removed from it. I know my kids, they're all adults now, but I say, yeah, could you imagine not having a computer or a smartphone or a tablet? What did you do?
I
We
know, right?
we played in dirt.
Even outside, right?
Yeah, we made primal sounds. Yeah, language. Yeah, a running joke with my middle daughter for years. I will not let go of this one. It's like, I told her that she said, "Well, color TV." I mean, I remember seeing black and white TV shows, and I tell her, "Well, actually, color in real life didn't happen until 1976. Everything was black and white." And she's like, no. It's like, yeah, look. It's like there was no. Look at all the old photos. That's what it was. We didn't actually get color in our lives until like the mid 70s. And she's like, you're. I want her to say that to somebody and have them laugh at her because it's like, no, I'm kidding. Of course there's color. It's like, but it's just one of those things where there are all these innovations that happen. And that's the beautiful thing about humanity is we continue to innovate. Is how can we use this for greater good? How can we use this to grow our business so we can serve more people? And you kind of have that as a backdrop and like, okay, what benefit would this be? Because there are some things that AI will do, and like, is that kind of a wash? Does it, what does it save us? If it doesn't save us anything and it doesn't improve anything, well, again, you got to look at a bigger picture of it. But again, that's where I think your audit is so critically important because I think most people wouldn't even know, like I said earlier on, I don't think they know where to start.
They don't because it's overwhelming if you
Yeah.
try to keep up with tools, but if you get laser focused on your business and what it is that you need to propel your business to the next level, it becomes a lot clearer. And Michael, just some things that I tell my clients to reassure them is I like people to really dig deep and think about the last 20 years. AI has been around for 20 years, whether or longer, whether we realize it or that. And the reason why I say that is because if you've ever done a mortgage application online, if you've ever filled out a credit card application online, that's AI. What they do, they use predictive analysis. So, based on your name and your social security number, your salary, they can look at your credit history and predict if you will default on your loans. And then that's how you're able to get an automatic approval in minutes. That's AI. And so when I tell that to people, they're like, oh, you know what? I didn't think about that. I have been using AI. And so if you can trust your social security number with a computer, why can't you trust it with your business plan?
It's important, and we see it, and we're seeing more and more, like
Mhm.
in food delivery apps, or when you order something online, it's like, hey, you like this, you ate here, you might like this. Or we see it in advertising all the time, or I see it because I've got some of those listening devices. I'm not going to mention them by name because they'll start talking to us while we're on this call, but you'll ask something, or maybe you'll have a conversation with somebody, and all of a sudden you're watching YouTube or something on television, and an ad comes up for that, and you go, okay, A, creepy, B, I- interesting and actually applied, because if you have an interest in this, it'll say, hey, well, what about this?
Yes.
And I know some people are like bothered by that, like I can't do that, but then those are the same people that are posting pictures on Instagram of where they're eating right now and what they ate, and and where they're buying clothes today, and they're
Yeah.
like, it's like you want to be private, but you're not acting privately. So there is a give and take on this, and we're still sorting this out. But I think ultimately it's, as long as it's used for greater good and not to harm people, and
Yeah.
it's helping them again be more efficient in their business so they can grow their business, because if you can save $250,000 on something and create innovation that can serve a lot more clients, well, guess what, you're going to have to grow your business, and guess what, you're going to be hiring more people to serve those people. So guess what,
More
it's
jobs.
that's how it works, and I know every innovation, they've always said it's gonna put people out of work, and it's like, well, you know what? Yeah, but there's jobs today that exist that did not exist 10 years ago. They didn't exist, and there are jobs now that won't exist,
Right.
maybe 20 years from now. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So always learn, always pick up some new skills along the way. There's no shortage of opportunities to learn how to do different things. Find out what you're creative in. It's like explore, try something different. And that goes for individuals and business leaders. It's like I've done this for 20 years. Okay, well, that's a long time. Great. Okay, what are you doing different? You went into nursing, and did all those great things. Now you're doing some amazing things, but those skills that you picked up while you were nursing come in quite
Exactly.
frequently. It's dealing with people, and many times, so especially with being a travel nurse and going to different parts of the world or even in the country, um, you're going to see people that are not in the best physical state or maybe even mental state. So if you can navigate around people like that and get them to feel better, or trust you to treat them so they can get better, then yeah, the segue into consulting is not as big of a stretch as you thought, because you're already used to it, and you're already dealing with the problem clients already. So you got it, you got it. This is easy.
Right. No, I love that, Mike. Everyone has transferable skills,
Mhm.
right? It's just sitting down, looking at what it is that you do well, and where can I transfer this skill to? Maybe it's a different role, or maybe even a new industry, right? Or a technology. And so, yeah, I encourage anyone who's listening, if you are feeling what's happening now, don't despair. Just really look at your role as a workflow. What do you do day to day? What projects have you contributed to? What are some of your metrics, right? And then how can you take that and evolve it?
And if you do that, you'll be serving humanity, which is what we're all called to do. So, Kim, love this conversation. Where can people find out more about you, get some information on an audit and everything else?
Yes, so very active on LinkedIn. My name is Kymali. Just look me up on LinkedIn. I would love to connect with you.
I definitely make sure to have that in the show notes. So Kim, thank you for being you and for being on top of all of this AI stuff because it changes, like you said, every 12 hours. Sometimes it feels like every 12 minutes. But you're going to be helping a ton of businesses with this, and that just bodes well for all of us, our communities, and us as consumers. Because when businesses are healthy and doing new things, we all benefit from it. So really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Michael. Have a great day.